Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to political science class, session number 3 today. And the morning session, last two sessions, we discussed about the constitution and amendments in the constitution or procedures to make changes in the constitution. Okay. So, constitution, a living document. Constitution, a living document. And here is the thing. Okay. So we discussed about the graph here. Next one, contents of amendments made so far. Okay, what are the amendments that made so far till today? Okay, since the 1950 till today, how many amendments are there, and what changes that made was actually made by the legislature? So amendments made so far may be classified in three groups. So we are able to classify the amendments in three groups, which are the technical or administrative nature, and where only clarification, explanations or minor modifications, etc. So clarifications are there in the constitution, added there later. Explanations are there that added later. Minor modification in the law that also added later. Okay, to the of the original provisions. They are amendments only in the legal sense, but in the matter of fact, they made no substantial difference to the provision. So this kind of changes like clarifications, explanations, minor modifications, that is basically termed as this amendment in legal sense. Okay, but not made any changes in the exact or original shape of the constitution. Okay, this is true of that amendment that increased the age of retirement of a high court judge from 60 to 62 years. That is 15th amendment. Similarly, salaries of a judge of high court and the Supreme Court were increased by an amendment, the 55th amendment. Okay, we may also take the example of the provision regarding reserved seats in the legislature for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. So all these things are basically added in the constitution. Okay, in different conditions or different political or social situations, number of changes will be there. It is necessary. Okay, that makes the constitution a living document, living a document. Okay, now we can see next page, page number 208. Different interpretations, different interpretations. So interpretations means nothing but we are giving a new meaning. Basically, common people cannot do that. Only the Supreme Court or High Court, they are able to interpret the constitution, interpret the constitution. How they will interpret the constitution? Okay, so a number of amendments are the product of different interpretations of the constitution given by the judiciary and the government of the day. When these clashed, the parliament had to insert an amendment underlining one particular interpretation as the authentic one. So sometimes some clarifications are necessary in the constitution. All right. Okay. Otherwise, we will not get the correct exact meaning of or perfect meaning of that particular rule or regulation. So some clarification is necessary. Okay. So government always will add. So any problem related to the clarification is the responsibility of the judiciary and the government to clarify that in the constitution. For that, they will make changes in the constitution. The changes in the provisions there or procedures there. So that is basically termed as an amendment. Okay. It is a part of the democratic politics that various institutions would interpret the constitution and particularly the scope of their own powers in the different manner. So we know that there are central list is there, I mean the union list, state list, and concurrent list. So all this we are able to find a disturbance between or a conflict between the state and the central government related with the various issues. Okay, so that time interpretations are necessary. Okay, correct meaning want to give for that. I mean that particular rule there, and want to say it's the responsibility of the what again say the Supreme Court. Okay, they will interpret it. They will say that this law is so and so, so it is applicable only for the central government, or this law is so and so, it is applicable only for the state government. So it is the responsibility of the Supreme Court to interfere the conflicts between the state and the central and interpret the constitution and act as an umpire always. Okay, so that's what the differing interpretations we are able to find different interpretations of different courts there. So finally in the Supreme Court it is able to amend or able to interpret the constitution properly. Okay, next one, amendment through political consciousness. Okay, here thirdly, there is another large group of amendments that have been made by the result of the consciousness among these political parties. We may say that this consciousness made it necessary that some changes had to be made in order to reflect the prevailing political philosophy and aspirations of the society. So, at the same time, some changes necessary, the political conditions. Okay, almost all the political party have some aspirations there. So to protect their aspirations, their demands, or their goals, okay, always they will pressurize in the parliament, or they'll create such kind of situations, and they will make changes in the existing rules and regulations. Yesterday, might you read a news there, right? Gujarat Parliament, I mean Gujarat legislature, they made a change. What is that? Not a change there. They made a provision to give a new name for a fruit. What is that? So that name of the fruit is not existing in the constitution anyway. Okay, but legally they can create something and forcing people to do so. Okay, so what is that? The dragon fruit, dragon fruit. That name, the Gujarat government changed it into what, Kamalam or something. I mean lotus. Okay, not in English, but in the Sanskrit. What is Kamalam? Named as, I mean, the meaning of that term is what, lotus. But you study in Malayalam, right? Hmm? No, synonyms. Lotus. That is what, Kamalam. So they made a change there. Accepting or rejecting that up to the people, up to the people there. So they made a provision. Okay. So suggested a change. That's it. Clear. So there are a number of such cases are there. We already know that to reform the political field, new rules and regulations are added in the constitution. Like one, we know that already. What is that? Defection. Okay, defection. So we know that it was a, or what we can say, this kind of defection is not in practice at the time of the making of Indian Constitution in 1946 and 50 there. But later, the political field or the political arena came to know that it's a huge problem. Okay, drastic trouble for almost all the political parties there, right? It will not create a static government, a powerful government. Always, chances are there for re-elections. So the political parties together, they made a change there, a change in the constitution. What is that? Anti-defection law, anti-defection law, a new rule, a new law added in the constitution, right? So political parties also are able to make changes in the constitution as per the present condition or situations, okay, or related with the goals and aspirations of the political parties. Okay, that's what amendment through political parties or political considerations. Okay, next one. Kesavananda case already we discussed there. Basic structure and evolution of the constitution. Basic structure and evolution of the constitution. So we already discussed that it is not that easy to create any change in the basic structure of the Indian constitution. It's not possible at all. Okay. One thing that has had a long lasting effect on the evolution of the Indian constitution is the theory of the basic structure of the constitution. You know already that the judiciary advanced this theory in the famous case of Kesavananda Bharati. Okay, we already studied that. This ruling has contributed to the evolution of the constitution in the following ways there. So we know that related with the what we can say, the property. Okay, the fundamental rights. We know that property, okay, on property is no longer a fundamental right. It's just a civil right. Okay, so that's the result of the Kesavananda Bharati case there basically. So they made changes in that particular rule there. Okay, here we can see it has set specific limits of the parliament's power to amend the constitution. Okay, so as per this Kesavananda Bharati case, the Supreme Court made a ruling that, what is that? Parliament cannot make some such changes. I mean, they cannot touch the fundamental rights. Next one, it allows the parliament to amend any and all part of the constitution within the limitation. So parliament can make changes in the constitution within the limitation of the parliament. Okay, so they cannot touch the fundamental right. It places the judiciary at the final authority in deciding an amendment violates basic structure and what constitutes the basic structure there. So the Supreme Court is the final authority to find out whether this amendment made any problem for the people. If it is so, the Supreme Court have the power to stop it or veto that. Okay. So these are the three things that are basically connected with the basic structure of the Indian Constitution. So Parliament is unable to make changes in the basic structure of the Constitution. So related with the Kesavananda Bharati case, we came to know that we already studied it. Okay, so that part is considering as the rigid part of the Indian Constitution, a rigid part of a Indian Constitution. Okay, move forward. Constitution as a living document. Constitution as a living document. 1 minute. Okay, so we have described our constitution as a living document. What does that mean? Here comes the question. What do you mean by the term a living document or constitution as a living document? Okay, almost like a living being. This document keeps responding to the situations and circumstances arising from time to time. Underline. So that's what we are saying. It is a living document. It's a living document. Okay. Like a living being, a constitution responds to experience. So the changes that what we are able to observe in the constitution, that is due to the time and experience. Time and experience. In fact, that is the answer of the riddle we mentioned at the beginning about the durability of the constitution. Okay, so time to time changes are necessary. Okay, so we ask a question to ourselves: the constitution should be changed or not? So answer is that it should be changed. Even after so many changes in society, the constitution continues to work effectively because of this ability to be dynamic, to be open to interpretation, and the ability to respond to the changing situations. Okay, so our constitution is entirely not changed because time to time we are making changes in that. Time to time we are making amendments. Okay, so it is able to understand the present situation and respond to the present time. I mean the present situations there. Okay, this is the hallmark of a democratic constitution. In a democracy, practices and ideas keep evolving over time, and the society engages in experiments according to these. A constitution which protects democracy and yet allows for the evolution of new practices become not only durable but also object to the respect from the citizen. So this kind of constitutions, okay, every time that is able to understand the situation, and as per that it will change. Okay, or the parliament making changes in the constitution, the people will respect such kind of constitution, and it will last longer. Okay, so we can say that not only the legislature, executive also doing their part to create the constitution rigid and perfect, even judiciary also playing their part to keep the constitution in a perfect state. Okay, next one, we're discussing about the contribution of judiciary to protect the constitution. So during the controversy between the judiciary and the parliament thought that it had the power and responsibility to make laws and amendments for furthering the interest of the poor, backward, and the needy. So we know that the directive principles of the state policy, we already know that government can make some provisions, or they can make changes in the constitution to protect the poor people, or for the welfare of the poor people there, or the backward people there. Okay, but the judiciary insisted that all this has to take place within the framework provided by the constitution, and the pro people measures should not bypass legal procedures. Okay, so for the welfare of the people, no parliament is able to do any shortcut to make any changes in the constitution. So they all wanted to follow the norms and procedures to make changes in the constitution or amendments. Okay, or make new rules and regulations. Procedures should be followed, because once you bypass laws even with the good intentions, so the thing is that if the government is bypassing or creating shortcut or using a shortcut to make a change in the rule or creating a new rule, okay, for the welfare of the people, maybe intention is good, but everyone will do that. Maybe the people, those who are not interested for the welfare of the people, also will do the same. It is not good. So judiciary control the parliament. Okay, and they insisted the parliament that should not touch or should not make any changes in the basic structure of the constitution. Okay, so Kesavananda Bharati case is a important case related with protection of the judiciary. Okay, the constitution is protected by the judiciary. Okay, Kesavananda Bharati case is a example. It's an example for that. Okay, so there are no parliament is able to create any changes in the basic structure of the Indian constitution. Okay, next one, maturity of the political leadership. Maturity of the political leadership. So we know that today, all of you turn on your cameras. Number of political parties are there. All these political parties basically trying always to get the support of the people. Always they're trying to get the support of the people there. So for pleasing the people, or pleasing a particular society, or pleasing a particular religion, okay, they always try to make changes in the constitution. Clear? That's what the judiciary says, that the political leadership who want to show some maturity, they have to behave like matured people, should not create any changes in the constitution for a short-term benefit. Short-term benefit, it will create long-term losses for the country. Clear? Clear? That's what the meaning here. The politicians want to act maturely. Okay. So our discussion of the role of judiciary in the paragraph above, bringing about one more fact, the background of the the background of the fierce controversy that ranged between 1967 and 1973, the Parliament and the Executive also realized that the balanced and long-term view was necessary. After Supreme Court gave the ruling of the Kesavananda case, some attempts were made by to ask the court to reconsider its ruling. Okay, so the government or the Parliament asked the Supreme Court to reconsider the case again. When this failed, the 42nd Amendment was made and parliamentary supremacy was asserted. Okay, but the court again repeated its earlier stand in the Minerva Mills case in 1918. Another case, Minerva Mills case, that also related with the property issue. Therefore, even 3 decades after the ruling of the Kesavananda case, the ruling has dominated our interpretation of the Constitution. Political parties. So political parties not accepted that. That's what the problem here. Okay, so political parties, political leaders, the government, and the parliament accepted the idea inviolable basic structure. Even when there was a talk about the review of the constitution, the exercise could not cross the limits set by the theory of the basic structure. So finally, after 3 to 4 decades, the political party leaders they accepted the ruling of the Supreme Court. Okay, because they came to know that it is, if you are making any changes in the fundamental rights in the constitution, other governments also will do the same. It is not good for the government or it's good for that particular political party. Clear? So this 42nd amendment is related with Indira Gandhi's time there. Indira Gandhi's period there. Clear? So one government is doing something for the benefit of them. Okay, other governments also will repeat the same, right or not? Okay, so it will not create a perfect ruling condition or administrative system in the country there. So always the Supreme Court or the judiciary is against making changes in the fundamental or the basic structure of the constitution. Clear? Okay, so next one. Constituent Assembly also, all the leaders mentioned this vision: dignity and freedom of the individual, social and economic equality, well-being of people, unity based on national integrity. This vision has not been disappeared. Okay, underline that. So always the parliament is welcome to make changes in the constitution, but should not touch these principles. What are they? Dignity and freedom of the individual, social and economic equality, well-being of the people, unity based on national integrity. Okay, so no government should create any problem for these concepts or these principles in the constitution. So this vision has not disappeared. People and leaders alike hold to the vision and hope to realize it. Therefore, the constitution, based on this vision, has remained an object of respect and authority even after half a century. The basic values of governing our public imagination remain intact. So we can say that no political parties are ready or no governments are ready to create any problem for the basic principles of values that existed in the constitution. So we can say that still today, okay, we are enjoying our constitution, enjoying in the sense the constitution is protecting our fundamental rights. So we are enjoying that, right? Okay, so conclusion, there can be still be debates about what constitutes the basic structure of the constitution. So what are the things that include in the basic structure of the constitution? There is no clear-cut answer from the side of the parliament, executive, or judiciary. There is nothing wrong in such debates. So still debates are going on. What are the powers of the parliament? What are the powers of the judiciary? Okay, is they are able to interfere in the powers of the judiciary or not? Okay, like that number of discussions are going on still today. But we can say that, okay, this kind of debates are good for creating a better constitution. We must remember that politics in a democracy is necessarily full of debates and differences. That is a sign of diversity. So we are able to find that in Indian constitution, number of rules and regulations are there. Okay, the concept of different political parties are different. So we can say that different debates related with the rules and regulations that existed in the constitution. At the same time, our political parties and leadership have shown maturity in setting limits to these debates there. So recommendation is here: the political party leaders want to set a limit for this kind of discussions, because the discussions that are going beyond the limit will create a social tension in the society, because politics is also about the compromises and the give and take. So politics is always termed as it's a art of give and take, compromises. So extreme positions may be theoretically very correct and ideologically very attractive, but the politics demands that everyone is prepared to moderate their extreme views there. So in politics, we know that some people are there, very strong, rigid rulers are there, but that rigidity is good, okay, for administration, fine. Fine, it is. Okay. So we know that when the related with the Kerala chief minister, almost his party members will say that what is that? He has a double-hearted man, right or not? Two hearts are, it seems there. We don't know anyway there. So that's kind of rigidity and that kind of strong mentality is good for administration, but basically the political theories and political philosophy says that politics is an art for what is that, reconsiderations, compromises, give and take policy should be there. Then only a good governing system will be there, a good administration will be there, and the people will, or the whole country will move towards development. So compromises are necessary, give and take, that policy should be followed always. Okay, here only then democratic politics become possible. Politicians and the people of India have understood that and practiced these skills that has made the experience of working of the democratic constitutions quite successful among the different organs of the government. So we can easily say that, okay, almost all the political party leaders and the political parties in our country, basically they are giving importance for the structure or a basic structure of the constitution. They know that if any political party is creating any problem for this basic structure, definitely such kind of things will lead to numerous problems in the society. Clear? So judiciary always protecting the constitution, judiciary always protecting the fundamental rights. Clear or not? Okay, so we are able to enjoy a hassle-free life in the society, a problem-free life in the society. Clear? So that's what constitution, a living document. What are the things we discussed today here? A constitution, living document. Hmm? The basic structure of the constitution, right? Okay, what is the rigid constitution? What is a flexible constitution? What is a rigid constitution and what is a flexible constitution? Okay, how the parliament can make changes in the constitution? Okay, clear or not? How the amendment will work? How a bill will become a law? Bill will become a law. Okay, role of judiciary to protect the constitution. Clear? Okay, and how the parliament want to behave, and should the parliament should not create any trouble to the basic structure of the constitution. So the tug of war between the parliament and the judiciary, the conflict between the parliament and the judiciary related with the Kesavananda Bharati case, and how the Kesavananda Bharati case helpful for understanding the limits of parliament and the powers of the judiciary, Clear? These are the basic concept of this chapter, and the special procedure to make a bill or convert a bill into a law. What kind of majority is necessary? What is a normal majority? What is a special majority? Okay, so related with the different cases or different what we can say, amendments. Clear? Clear? Okay, so one more time, you want to read this chapter. Number of important aspects are there. It is useful for the future. You're writing examinations. I mean, UPSC examination. Okay, this kind of examination or PSC examinations. Number of these kind of things from this textbook is necessary. So this textbook is very important. You want to keep this at least have to get a job, right or not? Because many things are included in this book, right? Okay, but don't blindly read this. Updations necessary. Updations are necessary. Here we are able to find the updation up to 2006. Up to that, nearly 93 amendments. But today the year is 2021. So you want to write the updations in the textbook. Okay, so far how many? What you can say? Amendments completed, how many changes occurred. Okay, such kind of documents or things you have to write in your textbook there. All right, and keep with you, so it will be helpful for you for the future endeavor. Okay, everyone, thank you very much. So we are going to wind up the session now. Okay, so we'll meet in next class. One more chapter is to discuss. So we will meet tomorrow and we'll discuss that. Okay. In the same time, I will upload the notes and the portion for the examination also. Just observe it clearly. Any doubts are there means you have to ask tomorrow. Clear? Tomorrow, I think that there are 2-3 periods necessary for completing that particular chapter. So just if it is possible, this chapter should be read properly, and tomorrow we will meet again. Thank you.